Out of 23 million people, there's 46% of the claims that come from water damage. They are from South Florida. So you're telling me there's 23 million people, and I did the math. 1/6 of the population has almost half of the claims.
Yeah.
1/6 of the population, which is Palm Beach County, Monroe, which probably has nobody, Broward, and Miami-Dade.
Not to hate on Monroe viewers, but I get
there's those four.
What's going on, everybody? Steven from the Vargas team here again, and as always, I bring you real estate related content to help you become a better buyer, seller, renter, and investor. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. So in this week's podcast, we sit down with our good friend Bryan Romero from Fortified Insurance Group as we discuss the world of insurance during these crazy times and how that pertains to real estate. Bryan drops a lot of gems in this conversation and a lot of things that you can incorporate no matter what side of the real estate transaction you are on. We discuss a wide range of topics such as insurance misnomers, why rates are constantly going up year after year, the issue with fraudulent insurance claims, and surprisingly, why renter's insurance is more important than what you think it is. And of course, much, much more. As always, guys, don't forget to give this video a like if you find value from the information and the content that I'm sharing, and tune in to our next week's video. So do yourself a favor, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already so that you can be notified of our next week's video. Okay, guys, that's enough from me. Let's get on to the video. Enjoy.
We're live. So first and foremost, elephant in the room. Tell me about this, man. This is your studio. This is your space. I love this. So talk a little bit about it. First and foremost, what inspired you to get this done? Who did it? Why did you do it? And when did you do it?
A very good friend of mine, one of my closest friends, Armando, shout out to him. He has a guy, which is, see his name right there, called Chico Canato. He's a very, he's a street artist from São Paulo,
Right.
Brazil.
Right.
So he's over here for Art Basel.
Right.
He's painting stuff all over the place. And then he did this in November. So I'm like, all right, my buddy went, introduced me to him, like, hey, we could do something here. I'm like, how much? I couldn't. The price was like,
Yeah. So
it was really, no, I couldn't because he's charging $2,000, $2,500, and you didn't charge me that.
So this guy's like a established artist from like does Art Basel, does the whole thing.
I'm gonna go put up his Instagram on this so people can go and follow him because he's gonna get some exposure. But he's got the little blue thingy on, so he's got a couple 100,000 followers. He's big in the Brazil space.
And you're Brazilian too, right? So like you have that Brazilian flavor with you. How do you feel like you bring that to, first and foremost, the subscribers, the viewers, whoever they are, whoever's watching this? I did an intro video just so you know, kind of introducing you a little bit. But Bryan, talk a little bit about who you are, what it is you do, and how you bring that. I always say, like, I'm Colombian, so I kind of bring a little bit of that flavor to my business. And we're in Miami. This is a Hispanic, dominated city, and we have a lot of ethnicities. And I think we all mesh well. We were talking about that earlier today, just about like Brazilian, Colombian, Venezuela. And I think each one brings something to the table. What do you think you bring to that? Like that, your culture, does that even translate at all to what is it you do?
Yeah, it does. I mean, when you're dealing with the Brazilian public, that a lot of them do speak the language, but a lot of them leave Brazil, bring a certain amount of capital, or they bring a certain amount of their wealth and transfer it here, like a lot of South Americans do. They want to go and initially going to do business with someone they can communicate with, they can speak with. If the guy's going to go and insure his exotic cars or some boats, yeah, he gets it. He's going to have a language barrier. So therefore, you speaking Portuguese gives me the edge,
right? In
order to be a representative for that public.
Yeah.
And then being American and being Brazilians look at, or I guess a lot of Latins like, well, okay, you're here, I get it, but how long you been here? So then I flip the coin to the other side, and I'm like, hey, I was born and raised here. Like, no, really? How's your Portuguese so good? Then I get into it. Parents, made in America with Brazilian parts.
Right.
So that
I love that.
that officially gets me as I get my Brazilian card. Right. Not as much, I don't lose the Brazilian card. I can placate that.
Right.
But in America we get shit done. So we come with the seriousness of, hey, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to go to approach the business how we do it here in America, but I'm going to speak to you in your language, and I know how to go and approach you, in the way I know how to rub the lamp the right way.
Right. And you speak Portuguese fluently?
Correct.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Ever since birth.
So you lived in Brazil originally?
No, negative.
No, you came here.
I did my summers, which is winter's end. I did my summers in Brazil.
Right.
Right. and I'll spend 3 months there. So that allowed me to get a fresh, how can I say, a fresh acclamation with the culture.
Right.
When you go to I was born and raised in New York City into my teen years. So you get a kid from New York City, from Manhattan, and you take him to Brazil. Like I've never seen. There's certain animals I've never seen in my life.
Right.
I was raised in
certain fruits, certain
there's certain
foods.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
so you go to you go to your aunt's house and there's little monkeys in the backyard. And this is not like in the Amazon. You know, they're in the capital in Brasilia, or you see it's very hot and stuff you're not exposed to.
Right.
And you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna be stuck here for 3 months, and I'm only hearing Portuguese. So I got that fresh. How can I say? I got that fresh. Let's say transformation, but I got that fresh acclamation to the culture. So it's like blend it, fit in where you get it.
Yeah.
So that helped me out a lot, and it was every single year.
Right.
Summer came, you're out.
Yeah, and so it's more so for you because, me being Colombian, my parents are Colombian, right? So I'm second generation Colombian. And yeah, I've gone to Colombia. I never spent summers there. I spent weeks there on vacation, but it is completely different staying somewhere for vacation and knowing, hey, I'm going to live here for 3 months, right?
Totally.
Right. And so you start seeing the world. When I go to vacation over there, I see the world through a tourist eyes, right? Even though I have family there and what have you, and we spend time together and they show me around the city. But when you actually live there for 3 months, I feel like you become part of, just the way of life there. So it must be different. I mean, I know in my culture it's a little different. Not that it's a complete culture shock because Miami is known for having a lot of Colombians, a lot of Cubans, a lot of Venezuelans, and as of late, a lot of Brazilians. I mean, have you noticed that influx of people coming in? Because I can tell you from my business in real estate, I have so many Brazilian clients over the last couple of years, and I'm sure that Brazil has played a big part in making sure that a lot of people come here. Have you noticed that too? I mean, I'm sure you had a big, business of Brazilian clients beforehand when you first started, because you've been doing this for how long?
Insurance we've been doing 11 years.
11 years. So when you started in insurance 11 years, like you said, you started placating to the Brazilian crowd. A lot of people who needed insurance but didn't speak the language, didn't know the language. So you were that person, right? You were that go-to guy that they were like, look, Bryan is, we could communicate with, but not only that, he has that energy, he has that vibe, he has what we need. You blend Miami and Brazil together. I know a lot of people may not know you, but during the podcast, people will start getting to see that. Do you feel like a lot of Brazilians have, like, there's been an influx of people more? Like, that you've, has that helped your business in any way?
Yeah, totally. The economy, even now more than ever, the economy's, the dollar's spiking.
Right.
They changed regimes. They went from a regime that was aligned more to the left, to where it was more of a social democratic type of government that's aligned more with Castro, it's aligned more with the Chavez's, and now they got a guy that's the opposite spectrum. They call him the Brazilian Trump.
Right.
So the country shifted to another polar opposite. And they got a guy to the right, they got a guy that's pro-business, they got a guy that's favors America, etc. However, the dollar spiked up a lot, too much. So a lot of Brazilians this is the last wave I see that's coming in for those that didn't come in, because Brazilians started coming in 2010, right? 2012, remember? Right. We were part of BRIC nations. It wasn't because that the Brazilian real was strong, it was the dollar was weak. So you're buying an asset, you were buying an unappreciated asset that's worth $1 for 30 cents, which is real estate.
Right.
So the Brazilian guy's like, look, I'm gonna go and see 5 years to the future. I know my money's worth nothing. I'm gonna go buy a piece of real estate for $100,000 in the United States. It's gonna go up 75% in price. It goes up, and then the inflation, my money goes up. Here, it's a win-win. So Brazilians came in droves, you remember? Came in droves, they bought up a lot of stuff, number one buyers of luxury real estate. So I took advantage of that wave. It's not advantage, but I got in and surfed that wave along with them.
Right.
Right? Because you have these influx of people that are bringing a big amount of cash and bring up a big amount of capital. And now you come into a country, you see in Brazil, it's probably like Colombia. They don't value insurance as much, or they don't, oh, you know what? It's expiring tomorrow, it's all good. I guess that's more of the Latin culture. Right? It's like, it's 1 or 2 days without insurance, it's okay.
Right.
No, not here. No one wants to be a blink of an eye without insurance, because you don't know in that blink of an eye, X, Y, and Z might happen to you. So they don't want to. So you gotta go, and it's not because most of the Brazilians I deal with are upper class Brazilians, and they'll still have their policy lapse, this and that. You should acclimate to the culture. Like, hey, I'm calling you 30 to 45 days before.
Right.
Going over your account. Oh, it's too soon. No, I'm letting you know. Hey, we gotta get this done. you know, because you're culturally you'll probably get it done 3 days before.
Right.
So it helps to have someone that is that understands how they think, but you play it you play it the American way. You know what I mean? But you easily transition them into that.
Yeah.
You can't just give them a mouthful of that, because they're going to regurgitate.
It's not what they're used to, and Acclamation is real for sure. Like our businesses blend perfectly together, because in real estate you do insurance. So I mean, you were just quoting me on my insurance for my real estate property, so it goes hand in hand. But Acclamation is real. The Latin community and people that are outside of, I mean, we could speak based on the Latin community. That's
Totally.
right. So South America. And it's real, because I sometimes feel like the culture differences are so unique and so different, and you have to understand the norms. And there's been times where if you tell somebody, hey, this is a contract, who comes from Latin America, contracts may or may not be respected in their country, right? Or they may be respected completely different. So like I'll say, hey, this contract this is what it is, you know, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do. And some people are like, look, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because whether I sign it or I don't sign it, who's to say they're going to honor that contract? So it was a little bit of a culture shock for me, because when I first started real estate, it was just like, people almost don't even believe you, right? It's kind of just like, sign this and everything is going to be good. And they're kind of like, how, you know, where, in what way is that going to even help me? Because in my country, it just doesn't work that way. So I can imagine, like, when you're calling people for the renewals or telling them, hey, you're going to be insured for this much, they're probably like, taking that with a grain of salt. Like, is it even going to happen? Like, if I do really have a claim, is that going to happen? So I would imagine that that's interesting. And it's funny that in Brazil, it's the same thing in somewhat and look, I don't want to speak for everybody, but we can imagine we've all had clients like that, right? Who just kind of don't take the information that we give them, or at least in their country, it's a little different, right? So, and to not belabor the point any further, about insurance, what have you seen lately as, you know, coronavirus, everything that's going on, like, insurance rates specific to real estate? Because I understand that you do other types of insurance, but talking about insurance for real estate, what are you seeing different? Is there any changes? Like, what can we do as, you know, I'm completely uneducated or what's the word, ignorant is the regard in terms of how insurance works. I know I need it. I know that there's certain policies, and you can even say that there's a difference as underinsured and overinsured. I know a lot of people talk about that, but if you could talk about some of the misnomers that people have, like, these are things that I wish everybody knew about insurance that they always get wrong, what would those things be?
Your personal contents. A lot of people like to exclude it. Well, it's covered worldwide, right? And I get that a lot with foreigners, and I get that a lot, and Brazilians seem to value that. Like, hey, don't exclude your contents, carry some. Because if you go to Brazil and your luggage gets stolen or something gets stolen, the contents you have insured here, even though your primary is in Brazil, it's covered worldwide.
Oh, wow.
Period.
And so a lot of people don't know that.
If it gets stolen,
yeah,
or your luggage disappears, it's stolen. It's considered theft. Get me a police report from Brazil. We'll translate it with a recognized company here, and then your claim will get paid.
Oh, wow.
Because your content is covered worldwide.
Right.
So even on your renter's insurance, you rent an apartment, your content is covered worldwide.
So like if somebody breaks into your apartment while you're on vacation, I mean,
no, if you bring
your stuff,
if you
to
bring
that
your
other
stuff,
country?
I had a client that went to Italy.
Right.
Like, they stole my stuff at the airport, or it was a cab or the airport. It's $24,000 worth of stuff.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, okay, give me the Italian police report.
That's so funny.
Everything will be tutto bene. And then I got him paid.
Yeah.
Another incident is clients going on a cruise apparently had $40,000 worth of personal her household goods in the car, because she in the car she was going to go on a cruise on.
Right.
So the car was at work on a Friday, and she's, you know, going to finish the day of work, go to the cruise, her and her husband. They broke in, they stole it. First thing people ask is, my auto insurance covers it? No. What do you mean? No, happened to my car.
Right. And you would think that your auto insurance
it's personal property
coverage,
coverage. Coverage C, covered worldwide. Household goods. Give me a list of what you got.
Well, how many people actually get personal property? Not many.
Most.
Really?
90%.
Okay.
It's just the ones that very few people exclude it. But those that exclude it have that conversation.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you know it's covered worldwide? or when I'm talking about insurance, that it's going to be like a benefit that no one knows, what I call a hidden gem. Say, by the way, when I'm spinning your quotes, you know, so this and that happens, and I tell them it's covered worldwide. So that triggers them. Like, what do you mean worldwide? Then I elaborate further. No one knows. It's just It's in there, but it's covered worldwide.
That's funny. And so here's something that I've always wanted to know, and I find increasingly interesting. I just did a video on my channel about the biggest scams in real estate, right? Because there's a lot of people who fall victim to scams, and obviously, for one, I want to protect everybody. I don't want anybody to lose money. I don't want anybody to get scammed out of money. But it was also kind of like a detriment, because a lot of people have bad information, and the bad information causes them to think in real estate in a certain way. And by thinking that, they're perfect and primed for people to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
So that information, I made a video on the real estate scams. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because Florida is known for one of the biggest fraudulent states in insurance fraud. Now, we can talk about different types of insurance, of course, but do you see that type of insurance fraud here? Is it still prevalent? Was it we know it was prevalent. Is it still prevalent? Is there anything that you would say to somebody, not to put you on the spot, but you can say, hey, look, don't fall victim for this. This is like such a cliche thing that happens in our industry. But if you're not in our industry, if you're not, because people, look, the reality is people don't think about insurance until their renewal comes up, right? I mean, I think we could both agree on that. And so you call them 30 or 45 days before the renewal expires, people aren't really thinking about it. So on a day-to-day, when you're like looking at things and you're getting things in real time and things are constantly changing and evolving, are you saying, hey, if you don't start looking out for this could be a problem? Or how can you set yourself up so that doesn't happen to you?
I mean, if you got a claim, file it, right? Most of the clients, I'm going to think, I'm going to go and give them the benefit of the doubt. If a claim comes in, I'll file it, I'll accompany it, but I can't get too much involved in a claim because it's conflict of interest. So whatever they say they have, I take their word for it. And if, the worst thing someone can do is make a fraudulent claim, because if they do make a fraudulent claim, it's a felony, and they'll be precluded from getting insurance almost anywhere.
For sure.
No one wants to deal with the fraudulent homeowner because no one knows when that claim or fraudulent insured. No one's gonna know if that claim you put in is bogus or if it's real. You know what I mean? But we'll put it in, and the carrier will take your word for it. They put you under they record your statement. They know what you're saying, and they record your statement so they can go and make sure that whatever you give it to them in writing or an email falls in line with what you gave them verbal.
Right.
So that also works. But in the market in general, we pay the price. We pay the price for, there's a lot of BS claims. I have to take it for their word, and it is what it is. But here's one thing. I've been in the insurance game 11 years, and I've never seen the rate hike it has been in the last 2 years. Because remember, insurance is socialism. Everyone pulls in together. So what happens with what happens to the right hand will affect the left. I got clients that say, hey, why did my rate with Lloyd's go up? There wasn't a claim yet, but there was a flood in Texas. There was a natural disaster a couple years ago. Remember Houston got flooded? So guess what? The carrier has exposure there. You're part of that book. He just went, that carrier just went and paid out claims. You're part of that pool. He has to recapitalize. He has to go and be in a surplus again. You're gonna get, so the generic answer, like, why did my car insurance go up? Very, very simple. Because based on your zip code in your area, there's been a lot of claims, so that's going up.
Yeah, but car insurance is a little different than property insurance. And correct me if I'm wrong, because car insurance, at the very least, I know that Miami has some of the highest car insurance than other states or other cities. And we could say that it's because of fraudulent activity. At least that's the word on the street that I've heard. Word on the street, like if I'm talking to people.
That's about that's about a third.
Right. But that's that's part of it, right? With real estate, you're saying that this is from a different state, a different city altogether, right? So it's super interesting that you bring that up, because no one would have ever thought that hurricane in Texas that happened a few years ago.
Oh yeah, it totally affects you.
Would affect us. And I had that same question too, because it seems every year my renewal comes, man, the property insurance goes up, and we're constantly trying to, as real estate investors, look, we have to keep our expenses low, right? and the market bears what the market bears, and if we're able to increase the rent on certain rental properties, then yeah, we'll definitely try to do that. But and sometimes you're looked at kind of as the bad guy, like,
Correct.
hey, we're increasing rents and you are a property owner or what have you. But and the reality is we're increasing rent because our expenses are going up, right? So we need to also be able to pay our expenses and make some of a return, because that's ultimately what anybody gets in real estate investing for. And we all know that the biggest expenses that real estate owners have are, aside from vacancy, is property taxes and insurance. So I tend to always look at those big numbers, and it's very difficult when your insurance goes up 10% that you're trying to scramble. You're either trying to lower your coverage, but it's shooting yourself in the foot, because now you're trying to pay the same or a little bit less than what you paid last year and lowering your coverage. But ultimately, what are you doing? Because when you do need a claim, then you're out of luck.
But 10% this year is great. Last year I had.
But that's what they're saying, right? 10% is
It's
good.
phenomenal.
But if 10% goes up every year,
It's
in 10
unpredictable.
years, it's 100% of an increase, right? So I'm paying double, right, of what I'm paying. So that then becomes a problem. But it's inflation. Everything goes up after a certain point.
Correct. Everything is predicated. Are we gonna have a busy storm season? Right? They predict, I think, 16 to hit. Right? I just know we're due for one. Right? So the minute a big storm hits, what happens? You know what I mean?
Right.
So here's a stat that I'll just tell you, because I'm part of the LAIA, which is the largest Latin American Associations of Insurance Agents, which is the largest committee down here in South Florida. So back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, or 60s and 70s, Latins, they wouldn't insure Latins, like redlining.
Oh,
like,
really?
You have redlining in mortgages or in real estate.
Yeah.
We don't go and sell to that block or that particular race or ethnicity. Well, they had that with Latins, right? So they formed their own association. So this is where I go once a month and I meet up with other carriers, and and it's starting to not be profitable in Miami. It's just okay. I'll give you this example. Miami has 23 million people. And this is a fun fact. So about 21 to 23 million people. Okay? Out of 23 million people, there's 46% of the claims that come from water damage. They are from South Florida. So you're telling me there's 23 million people, and I did the math. 1/6 of the population has almost half of the claims.
Yeah.
1/6 of the population, which is Palm Beach County, Monroe, which probably has nobody, Broward, and Miami-Dade.
Not to hate our Monroe viewers, but I get
Those four counties that I mentioned do not have a population of more than 4 million people. Right? Give or take.
Right.
On its best day. The state has 16 more million people to go. So those 4 million people accrue for 46% of the claims.
Wow.
That's a fact. And it's water damage. Miami, Florida is a state that's very litigious. So you get a water damage claim. I've had water damage claims that people got paid $80,000 because the ceiling collapsed in the bathroom. They redid the bathroom. It is what it is. Yeah. $80,000. So and then not only that, you have hurricanes. So you couple that in with 46% of the claims comes from 1/6 of the population. And that's what we don't file claims for. I filed one claim for fire in 11 years. I file claim every month for water. My pipes go. And it's from 10 to 120,000 of water damage. Like, what are these? It was flooded inside the house and they're swimming. So it's just not, and then you got hurricanes. So it's just not profitable for an insurance company to keep insuring homes here. Because not only they got to worry about water damage, June and November, they're dodging that hurricane.
So you think that Miami's in a very peculiar situation
very precarious situation
when it comes to insurance companies? So we're kind of like the black sheep, man. Like nobody really, like they have to, obviously they can't non-insure us, but the reality of what I'm gathering is that if they had it their way, they could probably choose to exclude us, and they'll be about their business and probably even be more profitable. Is that what I'm saying? Is that what I'm gathering?
Totally. How can I justify that what you pay for condo insurance here in Miami is what you're paying for a single family home in Ocala?
Wow, yeah.
Same, you're insuring for quadruple more the coverage in Ocala but you're paying the same rate as you're paying for condo insurance, and it's only 50,000, 60,000, give or take. How do you quantify that? So I've had conversations. I've had conversations with people, some clients that live in Miami Shores. I want cheaper insurance. Sure. Have you ever considered moving to Orlando? Like, no. I'm serious. You ever consider moving to Orlando?
Yeah.
It's the price you pay to live in paradise.
Yeah.
It's expensive to insure property down here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, you bring up a lot of good points, and I think it's good that people are hearing this because, look, I for one am getting a lot of information that I didn't know, and it's just because we don't ask these questions. You don't sit around with your insurance guy every single day and say, hey, what's going on? What's the state of the market? What have you? And I think it's important because you guys have a lot of information. But it is true. Look, Miami or Florida is the #1 migrated state right now. I think it was Texas. We beat out Texas finally.
Look at
so means a lot of people are trying to move here. And like you said, it's the price you pay for paradise. I mean, why do people want to move here, right? It's the weather. It's a lot of things that Miami bring and South Florida in general. I feel like there's no place like it. Obviously, we're biased, maybe because we live here, but maybe we're not because the numbers wouldn't be skewed the way that they are, right? If we were biased and we were just completely making this up, then there would be another state, another city. We definitely wouldn't be in the top 10. But there's a reason why everyone wants to come here, and because it's so competitive, people are willing to pay those prices, man. Because #1, like you said, a lot of insurance claims are coming about. But #2, if you're not willing to pay it, somebody else is going to buy that house, and somebody else is going to be willing to pay it, right? So as property prices continue to go up, at least in the single family market, and the condo market at some point will continue to see that, insurance I would imagine is going to follow suit. And so it's good that we're having this conversation because it's reality that I'm going to have to live with as an investor, as an owner, or what have you, as a real estate agent that sells real estate. This question comes up a lot. How much is insurance? And I feel like a lot of people underestimate what insurance is, especially if they come from different states. They think, oh, the insurance is going to be this much. And then they're slammed with like a quote and they're like, what in the world is going on, right?
They've never seen such a thing.
Yeah, they don't understand it. And so these are questions then that I get like, hey, Steven, why is the insurance this high or what? And I don't know what to answer them, right? Because I'm not an insurance inspector, nor do I pretend to be. I always refer them either to you or to, whatever their insurance guy is. I'm like, hey, talk to your insurance provider because that's the person who's going to give you the information. But at least now I have a tidbit to say, remember that hurricane that happened in Texas? That could potentially affect you, right? But it's very difficult to, I guess, quantify and to actually be exact as to these are the points. I think that's what we're getting at. There's really it's a crazy formula, right? It's kind of like credit when they establish your credit. How do you get your credit score? It's like 50,000 things that take into account. I think the same could be said with insurance. But yeah, to not go completely off tangent, let's talk real quick before we wrap this up. Single family homes and condos. Is there a difference in insurance? Should you get insured on either one, on both of them? Is there something that you would recommend saying, hey, if you're doing a single family, this is important. If you're doing a condo, this is important. Maybe nothing is important in terms of a condo or what have you, but what do you think?
Well, it starts out I'm going to get technical, name of the form. So
Right.
if you're going to go buy a townhouse, it's fee simple, or in other words, it doesn't have an association.
Right.
Right? It's considered single family. Or a single family home, you would get something called an HO3. And an HO3 identifies that as a policy that covers the exterior, covers the interior, and it's either for a townhouse, it's fee simple, or for a single family home.
Right.
You get an HO3. If you're going to buy a condo or a townhouse that is governed by an association and it's considered a condo through legal description, then you get an HO6. An HO6 says, hey, I'm not covering the exterior, I'm covering the interior.
Right.
Which is commonly known as in the streets, what they say is, I need a walls-in policy.
Yeah.
The walls-in policy is an HO6. It's the number of, it is the form number that we use, and the name, how we identify that animal, saying, hey, only from the walls-in is going to be covered. And once you get it, it's very, very simple, because if the pipes go bad or the pipes blow and you're in a condo, first thing is the condo is going to be like, hey, I'll fix the pipe, but if the water came in through your unit, now that's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait, it came through this. I've had lots of situations like that before. And then that water that seeps in through your unit and intrudes in your unit, guess what? Leak downstairs. Now you're quasi liable.
Yeah,
because it came through you, even though it was the association's pipe.
Right.
So it's good to have insurance so you can cover your damage, cover someone else that's going after you. And then on the back end, if you're not deemed at fault, your insurance will do something called subrogate. Subrogate means, okay, I paid for my guy's claim, but my guy's not at fault. Someone is. They're going to go after the parties at fault, recuperate the money they spent on their customer, so they can replenish what's spent. So yeah, get your own insurance.
Interesting. Now, real quick, renter's insurance. You think it's worth it? Not worth it?
Totally.
Yeah, you think so?
$120 to $240 a year.
Yeah.
You're gonna get 20 grand in your contents, whether you like it or not.
Now, a lot of landlords are requiring their tenants or their residents who are going to live in their property to get renter's insurance.
They should.
Now, I understand that it protects the tenant, but why would an owner, how would that protect an owner?
Real simple. You are ultimately responsible for everything that goes on that condo when you are a landlord.
Right.
Period. I'm gonna go and mention to you and recite some things that I've been involved with. Tenant has a leak, went downstairs, damaged the unit. She admitted she was at fault. She did not have renter's insurance. Guess who they went after? Unit owner.
Oh wow.
Even though she's like, yeah, I saw it was clogged and I just didn't clean it. I thought nothing was gonna happen. The owner couldn't have prevented that. The owner gave her a very sound working appliance. She didn't do the upkeeping, or she didn't do what she's supposed to do.
Right.
They went after him. Another situation, duplex owner, one of the tenants gets killed inside of his unit.
No way.
Serious.
Wow.
The estate of the deceased goes after my client. They wanted to see if the place was appropriately fenced. They wanted to go see a whole bunch of things. There's nothing my client could have done. He had peepholes, deadbolt locks to prevent that. The guy was a sought after drug dealer. He sold some people some money. He went to go take out the garbage and went in and they ambushed him, took him inside his unit and killed him.
Wow.
They went after him.
And renter's insurance would have covered that? Like, is what you're saying?
No, they went after my landlord.
Right, but
they tried to get some money. The case didn't go anywhere, but you can imagine how scared they were.
Of course.
Like, hey, I'm getting sued by the living family
On a homicide case, right?
Right.
That has nothing to do
of
right.
my tenant, and he wasn't your model citizen. So, So,
yeah, we're in Miami. Look, this is a city. This is a big city. I mean, things like that happen.
And why do you make him get it? It's real simple. So you don't have to go and bear the burden of something happening in there that you have no control of.
Right.
Because it's your property. So you're ultimately responsible for everything that goes on in there. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't get money, extrapolate money from the tenant, they're going to go after who's the owner of record on that.
They're going to find some way, right?
They're going to go after the owner of record. So tell them to get it for their sake.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, that's something that I'm going to bring up because as a real estate agent, I like to tell my clients to get renter's insurance. Ideally, renter's insurance from again, just your ignorance of not being in the insurance industry and just what you hear, is really to protect the tenant first and foremost, right? So a lot of clients are like, well, why am I going to make them do that? If they want to protect their belongings, have them protect their belongings. But that's a great point because ultimately it can come back and bite them in the ass. And so that is a problem, right? So nobody wants problems. So that's obviously going to help at least me. I'm sure a lot of people out there who are landlords are probably thinking twice and saying, hey, should probably get my tenants to get some renter's insurance. Last thing, what about, look, everybody's tired of talking about it. I'm kind of tired of talking about it, but insurance with coronavirus. I mean, I've had so many people ask me, what's the state of the market in real estate given coronavirus? And the reality is anybody who tells you that they know exactly what's going on is a liar, honestly, because nobody really knows what's going on. I mean, we're taking it day by day, as I'm sure you are. But what do you foresee happening with insurance? Is it affected at all? Is it not affected? Should we care? Should we not care with coronavirus?
Business interruption insurance has scaled back in the last 3 months. So if you're a property owner and you insure your home and you insure the home that's rented out and you want loss of rent or loss of or loss of rent on the policy, like you have. If you didn't have it before and now you want it, you're most likely not going to get it, because despite it having a virus exclusion, my people are filing claims, and I have put in 2 claims before, which is still in process. The verdict didn't come out yet regarding coronavirus. So if you don't have business interruption insurance before and now you want to go get it, you're going to have a hard time. If you had it before and you're just shopping for insurance, most likely you're going to get it. But carriers are scaling back until this pandemic passes through us. So property insurance is affected because business interruption insurance is part of your property insurance, not liability. It's part of your property. Right. So that's affecting property insurance rates, because I can imagine there's a lot of claims going through, don't know if they're going to get paid or not, and the business interruption aspect of it, which people want now more than ever, carriers are scaling back. So that's why I'm facing challenges now in getting that kind of coverage.
Yeah, I get you. Listen, man, a pleasure, a plethora of information that you gave us, man, and we are definitely probably going to have a part 2, because I'm sure there's a bunch of different breakdowns, but to not bombard everybody with so much information, let them digest it, let them kind of think about it, and take these gems that you left us. But real quick, where can people follow you, man? Are you on social? Where can they, if they wanted to reach out to, any insurance needs, what do you do? Where are you located? Where can they follow you?
All over. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. I'm gonna go post it up. It's gonna be on this. You see it's right there. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You guys can be up there. If you ever want to, the best way to get in contact with me, shoot me a DM. Or if you really need to call me, get a hold of me, the best way is just go to my website, schedule a meeting, so I can lock out that time, that date, especially for you, because I get a lot of calls, and I can't attend to everybody. Want a fast response, just email me, as you see there. But you'll, if you schedule a meeting on fortifiedinsurancegroup.com, schedule a meeting, you'll be able to talk to me, and I'll be all yours.
Yeah, I'm going to put, obviously, Bryan's information in the description box below, so that obviously you guys can make sure you follow him and reach out to him directly. But what is the email if they needed to contact you?
Sure, no worries. It can be reached via email at Bryan, that's Bryan with a Y, at F as in Frank, I as in India, N as in November, S as in Sam, G as in girl.com. So it's Bryan at FINSG.com.
Awesome, my man. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Shameless plug, but we do this to make sure that we get to as many viewers as possible. So make sure you click that subscribe button and that like button. I'm only saying that because Bryan told me to tell you guys to tell you to subscribe to my channel. So make sure you do that for him. Not for me, but for him. But anyways, if you found value in this video, make sure you click that like button, subscribe. And guys, thank you so much for joining. And Bryan, appreciate your time, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, brother.
Appreciate it. Yep.